So I would yo-yo back between raw vegan and vegetarian. And I did this for many years until probably 6 years ago, I finally was like I'm going to go vegan. Now I'm like really, really strict on the vegan. And it's easy for me. It used to be hard for me to not eat the dairy and the eggs. Now I don't think about dairy or eggs or animal products at all. It took a long time for me to get here, but I feel like every time I fell, every trial and error got stronger. Now I do struggle with the raw vegan diet. Even though I struggle with it, when I eat plant-based, it's a cleaner, healthier plant-based diet. It's not like I go too far off the rail.
Well, I love that you're talking about this because so many people just say cold turkey, cold fruited overnight, and it doesn't work like that. Like some people do it and it works, but I think that slow transition is really a much more gentler, easier approach for the body and also the emotions. It says it took you 6 years, like you said, to get out a vegetarian to get to vegan, and like, do you know, or can you remember, like, what was that point that like took you over the edge to be like, okay, now I'm done with animal products? Was it something emotionally, or was it just like
I think it was environment. I moved to LA and my kids moved in with their dad. So when I was living with the kids, I think it was harder for me. And then also when I moved to LA, not only did I not have to cook for the kids every night, every day, I also created the Raw Food Worldwide Meetup. So having community of people, like-minded people, also really helped. And because there's so many vegans, not just raw foodists, but like hardcore vegans here in LA that would come to my meetups, really, really shined a light for me to do it for animals, not just for health reasons. Because for me, it was always the beauty, the aesthetic. It was always the health reasons. It was always longevity. But, the thing with the animals never really clicked for me because I never actually ate animals. I didn't really eat meat. So it wasn't really my big why. So I didn't correlate eggs and dairy for you know what I mean? You just think like, oh, milk's not harming anything. Eggs aren't harming anything because you don't really know, So they really put things into perspective for me and like shined a light on, all of that. So that, really helped. I think, like surrounding yourself with people, your environment, like people can do it. They can, Annette Larkins, she ate raw vegan for 30 years, cooking meat for her husband. I don't know. Like, I don't know how people do it. Like, I can't cook like macaroni and cheese for my kids and not be tempted to taste it. I don't have that kind of discipline. I'm the kind of person I have to remove that like temptation. Like now I'm very particular. Like I won't even go to certain restaurants if it's going to be too hard, or like even parties. Like not saying that I'll eat because I will not go off of vegan, but if I go to a party and there's like chips and guac, and there's like a lot of salt in the guac, and there's chips and things like that, I'll eat the chips and guac because it's in front of me. You know what I mean? Even because it's vegan, but I'll eat it even though I know I don't want it. But I'll still eat it because it's like it's easy, it's there. The social aspect too is like really like challenging for me. I try not to eat socially as much as possible, so I have more control over what I'm eating. And then when I socialize with people, I try to do other activities.
I see all your posts about, food addictions and the books that you just wrote a book, right, on this?
I'm working on it. Yeah, I have a lot that I'm working on. Food addiction. Okay, I first discovered, this whole journey was like change your diet, change your life kind of philosophy. And it's not the end result that matters. It's the evolution, your self-discovery, like how you're evolving through the lessons that you're learning when you give up certain foods, and the awareness of like, how does this make me feel? Really just sitting with yourself. Where is the cravings actually stemming from? Then 8 years ago, I learned about Ray Mayor, who's a breatharian. And I was really, really fascinated about the breatharian philosophy. And I was like, I love this. I want to study this. So, I started incorporating more fasting. And then I would notice, like, I would go days without food. And I'm like, I'm not even hungry. So where is the hunger coming from? And then like the second you take a bite of food, the hunger comes back in and you're like looking for food everywhere, like you're like, oh my God, I wasn't even hungry. But the second I had that taste, it's almost like Eve with the forbidden apple in the garden. You know what I mean? Like the hunger came back. Then I read Victoria Bachenko's book, 12 Steps to Raw. So 12 steps is like a 12-step program of food addiction. So she talks about being addicted to cooked food But then I read another breatharian book. His name was Sunfire Jericho, or Jericho
Oh
Sunfire.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. He talks about food addiction, and the way he talks about it, I was like, holy crap. Like it makes so much sense. Like how we're just all so addicted to food. And then, I see these people who, I'm not saying like we all need to be breatharian. I think we're all just naturally breatharian.
Yeah.
But I don't have any like strong goals or like, I'm not striving to do anything. I'm just on my own journey, just seeing where life takes me. But there are people who I'm witnessing going a long periods of time without eating, and they're thriving.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if we don't need to eat as much as we do, why do we eat so much? Why do we even think that we need certain foods in order to live, or in order to survive, in order to be healthy? It's all just like comes down to our beliefs. I mean, even when it comes to the protein myth, you
Oh
know?
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
it's like if you need protein to build muscle or whatever, but there's like so many vegans who are not eating animals, getting plant protein or whatever. So,
Yeah.
it's like just so much cognitive dissonance around food. And then there's like one study saying like you need this to be healthy, and then another study that says the opposite, you know?
Yeah. What do you believe?
Yeah,
People.
so it's like, what do you believe? And then you have to just kind of get in touch with your own intuition of like, the truth is distorted. Like we don't even know what the truth is. We don't know what causes people to age slowly 100%. We're still learning. We don't know what makes someone live to 100 years old, because diet's not all. It's not just diet. There's so many different factors that go into play. So back to the food addiction, I was just kind of trying to this is where it came from. I gained 40 pounds last year.
Okay.
Okay, so I stopped eating raw. I went through some hard challenges with my family. I gained 40 pounds. Um, it was rough. It was really rough. So then I did like a couple months where I was like fed up with it. And I was like, I can't stop eating. And I was like, I have this addiction. It's so bad. So I don't want to eat for pleasure. So that was my main thing. So I did like kind of like my own Lent. It was like kind of like, not during Lent, but it was kind of like my own Lent. I did like 4 months where I had no salt, no oil, no seasonings, like no seasonings, not no garlic, not like nothing,
Yeah.
no onion
Cayenne,
powder, nothing, no cayenne,
paprika,
nothing,
yeah.
no seasonings. And I also was not really doing fruit. I did a little bit of fruit, but like I did fruit that wasn't super sweet, and fruit that wasn't even my favorite. Mostly just steamed vegetables, because I just wanted to experiment to see where this addiction is coming from. Because if my body was truly hungry, I would eat anything. I would eat whatever's in front of me. But if you really try the experiment, you look at the food that doesn't have the flavor and you're like, I don't really want that.
Yeah.
I'm not really in the mood for that. So it's like, okay, well, if you don't want it just as it is, then you're not actually hungry. So it's like, where is that hunger coming from? It's coming from boredom. It's coming from habit. It's coming from emotional regulation. It's coming from you're numbing something, anxiety, the social anxiety. A lot of times we go to parties and we're not even hungry, and we eat because it's like calming us down, of being around people. It gives us something to do.
Yeah.
We eat socially. We eat for entertainment. We eat for the pleasure of it. We eat for the high of it. Like you put all those spices on your food, you're having like like almost like not an out of body experience, but you're having some sort of a altered consciousness experience.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like the hot sauce is all on
that's what
top.
I'm talking about. Yeah, so you're not actually eating because you're hungry.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if you just try to eat just for nourishment, just for the biological need to live so you don't die tomorrow, would you actually eat this food? And like 99% of the time, like you're not actually hungry for to live. We don't even cue into those hunger signals, those full signals. We're doing other things while we're eating. We're on our phone, we're watching YouTube, we're having a conversation at the dinner table, and we're not actually being mindful with our body. And if you are mindful, you'll notice that you take like 2-3 bites, a couple bites, and you're already feeling full. It really doesn't take that much to feel full. Dr. Furman has this thing. He says, eat as much as you want, but stop before you're full. So you have this addiction with cooked food, and then you go to vegan foods, and then because you're addicted to the cooked food, you find all these processed vegan foods to curb your craving, your addiction, and then you go to raw without getting to the root of your addiction, and then you're making all these raw food gourmet. And I'm not dissing anybody. I'm just saying to think about it. Just think
Yes,
about it. You have
yes.
all these addictions, so now you're making all these raw food gourmet things to mask your addiction. So you're just taking your addiction from cooked food to vegan to raw food, and then because you didn't get to the root of your addiction, and you're eating all these gourmet raw foods, if you fall off of eating raw, you're going to go all the way back to the junk food because you never got over the addiction to that in the first place. That's where the slow comes in, not cold turkey. You can go cold turkey. Some people can do it, but I'm saying try to master eating just plant-based first. Try to master eating mindful eating. Try to master your hunger cues. Try to master no seasonings. You know, like you don't have to eat no seasonings forever, but it's a really cool experiment. If you go and you don't eat for pleasure at all, you're gonna like really come face to face with like, this is what I was feeling. I was feeling so depressed because I wasn't eating for pleasure. There was no pleasure in the food. I was like, I don't even want this. I'm going to eat it because my brain thinks that I need it, but I'm not hungry. But I'm going to eat it, but I'm not really enjoying it. So really, we really only want to eat for the pleasure of it.
Girl, this is a good book.
Yeah.
Like what you're just sharing right now is gold. It's gold,
Yeah.
and it can help so many people actually going on that path, because oftentimes they blame, like you said, they're blaming the food and they're not looking at what the actual root cause it is, right? Like, I'm eating this food because I'm pissed at my mom.
Right.
I'm pissed at my
Right.
mom. So I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna eat that. You know, it doesn't matter which diet you choose. Because it's all just like you said, it's masking what
And
it is.
and then I realized how much I use food as like a substitute for joy in my life, you know, because when I took away the pleasure and I wasn't getting the dopamine hit from the food, I got depressed, and I almost got to this feeling like, if I can't eat for pleasure, what is the point of even being here? What's the point of even living? So it's really important that we find joy outside of eating and just eat for the sake of nourishing your body. And that's like the revelation I had. I'm not there, like I'm still working through my addictions, but it came to me like so clear as day. Is like, if we really just ate for nourishment, we would just eat the bare minimum, like just to eat, move on with our day. You know, if you ever saw the movie The Matrix, they're eating this tiny little bowl of oatmeal. It's not even a big bowl. It's a little bowl of like this oatmeal, right? And Neo is asking Morpheus or somebody about it. And he says, it's everything the body needs. It's all the amino acids. That's it. That's all you need is this little cup of food right here. That's it. Like, could you imagine? But we can't do that because we're so attached to the pleasure of it. We're attached to the, you know, using it for emotional regulation. We're attached to the entertainment of it. You know, we're addicted. It's an addiction.
We're addicted. And
It's
what would happen if we weren't addicted and we had that much more time on our hands?
you would create. You would create. You would be of service to humanity. You would make an impact. You would innovate. You would design something. You would do, I don't know, you'd go down in history for something, you know? If we just, you know, stop consuming so much and start creating.
Yeah. Start serving. I love that. I love that you said that. It just makes so much sense. There was a woman I just saw recently in a video who hasn't ate anything in 3 years, and she doesn't sleep either. She said when she sleeps, she gets more tired, and she runs. She like runs at night. She doesn't eat food. And they said, "Why do you do this?" And she says, "Because if I'm sleeping and I'm eating, I'm not helping other people." And I was like,
Wow.
she's got it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not for these, egotistical reasons. It's not for vanity, or like you said, it's purely because she wants to help others, and she figured it out.